Welcome to Bay Rats and Buoys with your host, Captain Gage.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. I'm your host, Captain Gage. This is episode number 30, season 2, brought to you in part by Seatow Huntington. Are you a member? Visit seatow.com and join today. And the Long Island Fisherman, my favorite magazine to get in the mail, and Clicks Fueling. Visit clicksfueling.com. What's up, guys? Super excited to be sitting back on my boat. I've been down here for hours, prepared, ready to go. And you know what happens when you're in the marina? You get caught up into all these conversations with everybody down here. They all want to talk, and it's a great thing. I absolutely love my marina. And there's nothing better than, the camaraderie amongst a bunch of captains and fishermen, because that's really where the best intel lies of what depth water you're in, where they were, what they were using, what colors are working. And it's being in the mix of that. If you're not in the mix and you're not getting that intel, hopefully I bring some of it to you here on Bay Rats and Buoys. And I got to say, we have some really awesome, loyal listeners. And I try every week to get this podcast up by 6 o'clock. And again, it's 4:30. I've been down here for hours already, and I'm finally recording. It's Thursday, and I'll probably get it up a little late again. And I do apologize when I don't have it up by 6 o'clock. I'm trying to stick to that schedule and get back into the schedule here. But again, a lot of times it has to do, like, the wind just died down. I mean, I've switched directions twice of where I'm sitting on the boat. It has totally done a 180 on us. As far as what direction and how it was blowing. And now it seems like it's dying down as the cloud cover rolls in. But guys, the fishing is, so some days it's great, some days it's not so great, and some days it's like, holy cow, what happened? So that's this time of the year. And you got to find your windows to get out, because one day it's blowing, the next day you got to work and it's not blowing. So you really got to find those windows, shoot out, get your lines wet, and go fishing. That's just, that's my advice to you. Just get out there. And we try to go in all conditions. And we find, like when I went out last week. So last week I showed you videos and showed you pictures. Monday it was lights out. Monday we had a great fishing trip. Wednesday with my older son and his girlfriend. Great fishing trip. That was awesome. And then Thursday, another epic day with Kenny. So Kenny came on the boat, and me and him found some really nice sized fish. And we were catching 36-inch fish, and we were like, these are dinks, because we had caught some really nice sized fish. So when that happens, we're pretty jaded. We get a 35-inch fish, and we're like, 35, a little 35-inch fish. It's not. It's an awesome fish to catch, and it's a trophy probably for a lot of people. It's a great fish. And then Friday came around, and the fish had lockjaw. Everybody that was fishing out in the Long Island Sound in the area that we were in was marking them. They were seeing them. They were trolling. They were chunking. They were live lining. They were flutter spooning. They were throwing everything, and we were out there doing it too. And you would go over them. You would see them, but nobody was hooking into them. So they just, the rain happens, the water temperature fluctuates, the barometric pressure. There's all these things that come into play that we don't know about, and we may not realize, like 3 days prior to that, the bite was red hot and it was lights out. So why does it change? Well, obviously there's a science behind why it changes and why they're not feeding, and that could be frustrating to people. You go out the guy that went out on Friday that had only Friday to go fish, is seeing people posting pictures Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, catching really nice-sized bass. He goes out Friday, and the same body of fish is not chewing. So that can get frustrating, and I totally understand that. But like we all say, that's fishing. And I recently got a great email from a loyal listener, Gene, and I greatly appreciate you. And that email was awesome. And we shot a few text messages back and forth since then, because that's what I'll do, guys. If you reach out to me, we're going to communicate, and then we open up the line of communication. And we're going to talk about fishing and some stuff in the local area here. And he actually sent me a text message saying that he went out, and the intel that I had given him was spot on, that chartreuse, they were crushing it, and the gold flutter spoon was working. Well, that all changed. Yesterday's fishing trip that changed. So they were hitting white yesterday, and they weren't hitting chartreuse. And there was a big body of fish that moved in. I mean, it was epic to see. Everybody's taking pictures of their sonars and showing you the pictures because it was really nice to see some really big marks and some really big fish, and a whole lot of them stacked up where anybody that had a tandem rig on was doubling up, which I don't like to pull the tandem for that reason. You know, you catch two 35-inch fish, and you're reeling in 70 inches of muscle that's fighting you and pulling drag off, and you think you got this 50-pounder, and you pull it up and you got two fish. So we catch enough fish that we like to do the single mojos, and and we have all different weights, and the ones that I pulled out today to show you the white and the chartreuse, because now I'm going to start showing you stuff, guys, the stuff that we're using and what's working. So you'll notice on your mojos when you're hitting the bottom, and these are ones that usually go in a tandem rig or when we want to be lighter and on top. You can see these are 12-ounce, 10-ounce. These aren't the 16s and the 20s that get down to the bottom. But the ones that you have down on the bottom are hitting the bottom a little more often, hit a few rocks, and you see it chips away. You can use chartreuse nail polish and just put nail polish on that and fix it up and make it look a lot better for your next trip. You don't have to. You can redo these. It's definitely easy to repaint these, 100%. So, and obviously you got to have your swim shad replacements because now the blues are in town. We haven't gotten any here. I know there's an invasion on the South Shore. I have not caught any bluefish yet. We have getting tails bitten off, so they're around. They're definitely going to make their way. They're here. Water temps are warming up, and again, it's fluctuating. It's 53 to 57. Out in the Sound, we had one day it was 55. Wow, I got a good story for you guys too. It was 55 degrees, and next thing you know, I'm looking, it's 52.5, and it's dropped. And, that temperature change, again, the temperature you're reading on your boat is on the top of the water. That's not 20 feet down, so you're getting the top water reading, and it fluctuates. It changes. And, we get rain that comes in. It's going to rain today. It's going to rain now soon. There's clouds coming in. And as you can see, the cloud cover has come over me here. We were dropping the vibes, all right? I'm going to tell you something new that we picked up at Ward Melville this year, and we said, it's got to work. It looks great. We're going to give it a shot. And these Game On Duratec soft plastic baits, here they are. All right. I got to tell you, the action on these things is insane. Absolutely insane. And I got to say, we went into the back bay, so when they weren't biting in the Sound, we snuck out of there, and we shot into one of the back bays, and we did find them. And I got to say, game changer with having the side scan, because we saw them 80 feet away from the boat. We were able to turn into them and go throw into them and really get some hot action. And I'm going to film this. I'm going to show you what this looks like in the water and how we retrieve it and how we work it, because this is absolutely awesome. And I got them in a couple of different colors when I was there. Obviously, I got the bunker color. And, bunker, chartreuse, and white are great colors for our area and for how we fish. And, obviously, your flutter spoons. And I did say this year, when I was at the Ward Melville show, like I say, I always support local and support local businesses. And I picked up the Flutter Pro Fat Cat from All Pro, and we are excited to give it a test. We're going to get on them, we're going to find them, and we're going to test it out. You can see I even have it's ready to go. It's got a teaser on it. We got all kinds of good stuff, so we're loaded up on the boat. I like to keep my flutter spoons in bags and my mojos in bags and stuff, so that you want to reach in and just grab a color. Be my guest, So we got all the different colors in here. There's chartreuse, there's white, there's gold, there's bunker colored. And so we're not worried about them changing colors out there. So you got to be able to switch it up. And I like doing that when we're on them to see if they'll hit everything. Are they hitting specific? So once we find them, we really have a good time catching them and landing them. What else do I got here? Yeah, so I mentioned about the mojos, and you can paint them. But, you always got to have your replacements on board, because once the blues show up, if you are trolling, I'd be switching up to the floater spoon anyway once I see the fish, So we got bit off. We got a tail bit off this week, so Good chance. Good chance there's blues around. Somebody's going to start catching blues around here first. Somebody's got to do it. They're on the South Shore, and they're making their way. So that's a good sign. But guys are out fluking now, too. So Sunday. So I said I have a story for you. So I got a couple, actually. But we were out Sunday, and it rained, and everybody left. And we had the whole place to ourselves, which was great. But what happens when you're the only boat out there? And the DEC decides to troll on by? Well, guess what? They jumped on board Sunday, and they were on and off. They were looking in the wells. They didn't even know my live well was here under the seats. I actually had to say to them, you looked in everything but the live well so far. So I opened up the live well and showed them there's really nothing but a couple of cleaning supply bottles that were in there, and that we were out here tagging bass. So they were pretty excited about that. They wanted to see, one of the guys had never seen the tags that we use. So we showed them how we do it. And we showed them how we tag the fish and the cards that we fill out. And we get to name the fish. So a week ago, we were out there, and one of the local captains went by and passed us, bringing his boat around. And as he passed us, we doubled up. And we doubled up, and when we got the fish on board, we named the fish after the captain. So we come up with some fun names. We had one that we caught really, he was lip hooked so good, we called him Lippy. Then we had one that was real fat, and we were listening to Biggie Smalls on the boat, so we called him Biggie. And then we had another one that was real fat, so the only fat one we could think of bigger than Biggie, we named him Fat Albert. And then we had one that was real skinny. We called him Slim Shady. So you're noticing a music trend there. But, we come up with really fun names for the bass that we catch. And those names get submitted. So those names are not on the tag on the fish. So the fish doesn't swim around with a name on them. But basically you put the tag into the applicator and you remove a scale and boom, you punch it into him and that's it. You release him and he's gone. And so we've done that with, I want to say probably 15 to 17. I think we tagged like 17, 18 fish out of the ones that we were catching, maybe a little more. I'd have to pull out all the cards that I got to send in now. This was just in the last week. So we had a good week on the bass. And now everybody's out there. Sunday, like I said, we were out in the Sound, and there was an invasion. So we had an invasion in our area of boats from the west. And the prior week, I think it was Thursday, Soundbound Excel had come in, and they were trolling in the area. I think Thursday they were chunking in our area for bass. Me and Kenny had hooked up a couple of times passing by, and we didn't see them stacked up enough to really troll. So, I mean, to chunk and sit there and anchor up and chunk on them. But I didn't see any posts from them from that day. The following day was Friday, and you had Soundbound Excel came in, their red boat came in, and they were trolling back and forth, and that was the day that there was no bite. I mean, that's the day the bite had shut down. So we didn't see any nets going down. And again, we're all looking around, we're all talking, so there's 3 or 4 captains out there, we're all communicating with each other. And hey, we see them over here, hey, they're stacked up over here. We're throwing everything at them, and it's, they're not chewing. So that was the word that was going around. That was Friday. Then on Sunday, you had Never Enough, Speed Current, Soundbound, and there were a couple that came in. And there were like 4 or 5 boats that came in from Queens, Bronx, New Rochelle, City Island, and they all came in porgy fishing right off of the Sound there. And I mean, the porgy bite is, that's this time of the year. Fluking was opening day on Sunday. So a lot of guys that came in today were talking that they were in the shallow waters, fluke fishing, and they were getting nothing but shorts. So you're going to get that this time of the year. Listen, everybody's going to get out there and get on their first few keepers and get it and grab them. And you're going to want to be in the shallower water this time of the year. I mean, I'm waiting for the water temperature to kick up a few more degrees, and I will actually go spearfishing along the shoreline in 5 to 7 feet of water. And then once the water temperature heats up, that's when the fluke take off and they go to deeper water. They're just like me and you. When it gets hot out, we want to go into the air conditioning. Well, same thing for them. When the water temperature gets to a certain degree, they want to go into cooler water, so they move out into the deeper water. And so you got fluke fishing now. That season started Sunday. And you got porgy fishing. Guys are out there stocking up on their scup. And you got guys like me that are out there targeting the bass. So we're pretty excited that fishing's really ramped up, And again, I always say this, April and May, you got windows to get out. May is an iffy month. I always told people that, if you get 2 weeks in May that you can go fishing and you were able to get out on those days, you had a great month, because the weather is just, it's May weather. It's April showers, bring May flowers. And I got to say we're probably a few weeks behind schedule as far as that water temperature is concerned. So you got to put that into play and take that into effect. But back to some of the loyal listeners here. And I showed you some of the gear that we're using. Let's see if there's anything else on my handy cooler here that I'm sitting on. I've switched spots already a few times today based on, so I've shown you guys during the wintertime from the studio the Nomads. And when we're using the flutter spoons, I love to throw the Nomads out there because a lot of times you'll see the currents ripping and it's taking your spoon, off on a slope that you're not too happy with, you know what I mean? And you're pulling up some sort of shell from the bottom because you got down there and you're sitting at a wrong angle and you go to bring it in and you grab something. That happens a lot. And when that's happening, that's when I'll switch tactics and I'll switch up to a Nomad. And we got them in a bunch of different sizes, but this is... And the blues can hit this. Look at this BKK hook. The minute you touch it, it sticks to your finger. I love the BKK hooks. I really do. So you got them in bunker color. They got them in ghost white. And I also use... Oh, might have dropped it here. If it dropped down, you're not going to see that one. It's gone. It's bye-bye. I tried. So, yeah, there's a couple of different colors of these. And then we got the squid. So on the other side here, and again, I take care of my gear. I like to keep everything in cases, keep the hooks nice. Same thing with the flutter spoons. You throw them on the rack on your boat, and, before you know it, we got rusted hooks. So I try to keep that from happening. When we get back, we do rinse everything and put stuff away. And so the squid, these things are incredible. And Squid Treks, Nomad. So we like the Nomad brand. Maybe we'll reach out. Maybe we should talk sponsorship and show them some cool videos and how we use them and how they work. You control these too if you wanted to pull them behind the boat. We don't. I use these specifically to drop down into the stacks of fish when we get on them, and they get crushed. And like I said, those BKK hooks, nice single hooks, easy to get out, which is what I like because we're tagging and releasing all the fish. So we're not out here killing everything, which is a good thing, and that's why the tournament this year, tagging and bragging, which is what I told the DEC. I told them on the boat, I said, I'm hosting a striped bass tournament for my podcast, and the tagline to the tournament is tagging and bragging because they saw, the applicator, the fish tags, the tags were out. We had no bass on the boat, 0, yet we caught. So we caught a ton of slots this year. We really did. And, so let's take that into account. Granted, we're catching 38s and 40s and overs and big fish too, and big fat ones. These fish are feeding the bait. So with the side scan now, what I get to see is I get to see the schools of bunker and, when they're down. A lot of guys, you just get to see that cloud on your sonar, but now I actually get to see the individual fish with the new electronics, and it's definitely a game changer. It's easier to turn into stuff and find stuff, even to snag some stuff if you want a live line while we're there. So it's kind of cool. It really is. Game changer for sure. And pretty excited about it. We're excited every trip we go out. So the bass are here in numbers. The fluke are here. They've been here. You get them in the harbor right now. So everybody's drifting in the harbors right now because that's where the water temperature is the warmest. And where the water temperature is the warmest and the bait is, that's where the fluke are going to be. So that's where I would start. okay? So even if, guys on the South Shore, I mean, I'm sure, Reynolds Channel and a bunch of the channels are stocked up with fluke right now. What size they are, I don't know, because I have not fluke fished yet. But the guys just came back, and they got nothing but shorts. And they fished to 17 inches, and that's that. That's, wait a little bit, And obviously there's going to be charters and guys that go out fluke fishing, and they're going to have keepers being out there all day and showing on the boat, which is great. Guys are going to, like Kenny. Kenny is just, I didn't talk to him. He went out on a boat that he predominantly does fluke fishing on. He's addicted to some of this fluke fishing on one of these charters, and I forget the name of it. And I will have to reach out to him and find out how he did. He was going out on opening day. He fishes the boat so much that he won a free charter, so he used it for the opening day. And I'm sure the boat was packed, which is good. There's definitely big fluke to get on this time of the year. Don't get me wrong, just because people are catching shorts around here. And there's a ton of bait. We saw bait everywhere, which I just brought up before, but because I was seeing on the side scan, but the bait is in abundance. These bass have bellies on them. You pick them up, and they are fat. And that's how they got Fat Albert and Biggie. We had the skinny one, Slim Shady. We did have some bass that had lice on them. So those came in out of the ocean. So it's kind of cool to see the different types of fish and the ones that are migrating and the ones that have been holdover fish that are super, super clean and look like they just came out of the back bay for the first time in the spring. And they're absolutely beautiful. And it's great to tag them. And what's cool is we tag every size. So, you might catch a fish in our area with a tag in it. And it might be under, which means you got to let it go. It might be an over, which means you got to let it go. But you could take that tag information down and call it in, and then they would know where that fish came from, where we tagged it, because they have the longitude of where we were when we tagged the fish. And you got to see where some of these fish migrate to and where they go and how far they travel. It is really cool. So these are not the tags that have geo-satellite, antennas on them, and they're being tracked the entire time that they're swimming. These are tags that you pop into them, and you're not going to read. I haven't heard anything about the 53 shark tags that I submitted to NOAA from the 53 sharks that I tagged a few summers back. So I may never get any intel on these bass, or I might. So that's the chance you take, and you tag them for conservation, and you hope that you're doing the right thing, and I think we are. And we're pretty proud of it. It's a lot of fun. The DEC was on and off the boat in no time, and it was good to see them out there. It really is. I never mind, guys. I don't mind getting boarded. Last year I was boarded by the Coast Guard. Last year I was boarded by the DEC during a charter. We had kids on the boat catching fluke. It was great. The DEC got off the boat last year, and as they get off, pull away, they were like, "Oh, you still have a line in the water," and the kid reels it in. He's got a fluke on it, and he just pops the fluke off and lets it go in front of them, which was pretty funny, which was kind of cool. Because even charters, sometimes we take charters out. They just want to take the kids and go catch fish. They don't even want to keep anything. And that's the case with Anton and Anton Jr. And we do some magnet fishing with them. They bring their magnet fishing kit. So they're into really cool different stuff, and they want to go out and catch them, learn about the species, which Corey, my first mate, is great at showing the kids and teaching them and showing them the different, features on the fish and what to, how to tell the difference between a male and a female and all that stuff. So it's fun to educate them. And, speaking of education, somebody commented on YouTube that they were shocked that my son's class got skunked at Captree. And, I wrote back and I said, yeah, me too. I'm going out on my daughter's field trip as a chaperone on, I think it's the Captree Pride. And, the part of the trip, they're teaching the kids about, fish and stuff that they have on the boat to teach them just like, they should, which is good for the kids to learn. And then they do some part of it fishing, then they eat lunch, and then you come back. I get it, So it's not fishing the whole 4 hours. And when we did go, nobody on the boat caught anything, so I'm hoping this time around that won't be the case. Yeah, and my daughter's going to bring her own rod and her own rigs and her own stuff. I always show you the cover of her on the magazine. She was in the river catching rainbow trout and brook trout, having a competition with her brother. I think that day they caught 7 apiece, the day that she made it onto the cover of the magazine. She's reeled in some big sharks from the beach. I got awesome videos of that. You might have seen that in the shark podcast episode. That was a great episode. And, my kids were a big part of that, and they loved catching the sharks. So, they're not coming down here to go snapper fishing anytime soon after that. In fact, my son will fish with the flutter spoon and outfish most adults on my boat that come down and charter us out. And, he's 12 years old. And, once you learn the technique, like there's guys here in my marina that were just talking to me that they're saying, hey, we got to go out with you because we want to learn how to use the flutter spoon. And, there's a technique to everything that you do. Everything. Whether it's spearfishing, whether it's trolling, whether it's mojos, umbrella rigs. There's different gear that you use for all the different things that you go out and fish for. Which is why you really got to prepare for battle before you get out there. Otherwise, you can miss a lot of cool action, and, just by having to tie something on, it could be over by the time you do that. So we get out there, we're ready to jig. We got flutter spoons. I got a Nomad on. We got top water action. We got all kinds of stuff tied up and ready to go. So even if it's just me and Corey, we're going out with 8 rods and 4 rods tied up, with 4 or 5 different things ready to go. So that whatever we come into, we're into it. And even for the bunker. We see the bunker, we're ready with a cast net, we're ready with a snag hook. So, that's another thing. A lot of guys will snag and leave it on that hook. You snag a bunker, you got to put that bunker on a circle hook. So, let's just keep the regulations in place, and they're there for a reason. And, once you learn how to do all of that, your hookup ratios are going to be pretty good. You're going to learn. We teach people, how to live line and how to chunk and how to get into them with the circle hook, because guys use J hooks for so many years, and they were used to just leaving it, in free spool and letting the fish run with it and hearing it run off. We all love that sound. And then setting the hook, putting it in strike and setting the hook. And with circle hooks, it's a different process. So you got to learn those different things. And when you get out with people that have experience and know all the different, listen, I do not pretend to be a know-it-all out here at all. I'm forever learning, and I love learning new stuff. And that's why I'll even bring up now with Gene. I appreciate you listening, and I really do appreciate our loyal listeners. And we have some awesome loyal listeners, and they are all reaching out to us via YouTube, via email. Just shoot over to sandcitycharter.com. You can fill out the form and shoot it over to me, or my number's there. You guys can just shoot me a text. I have no problem with that. The Facebook messages, I get a gazillion of them, so I have to really sort through them to weed out all the ads that I get and all the people that are just reaching out to sell me knives and shirts and hats and everything else in the world. That happens because you're a charter business and you're online, or you have a podcast and you're online. So you're a little more, you're out there, you're more exposed. So the number is a little easy. You can get me on the text, you can get me on the email, you can hit sandcitycharter.com, fill out a form. And speaking of filling out stuff, but let me get back to Gene first. So Gene sent me an email. It was an awesome email. And then he shot me a text saying that the numbers were spot on. But in the email, he wrote what he was avid at, what he was good at. And it was great to hear. And so there's guys out there doing a lot of the same stuff that we're doing, but they use different things. A lot of guys get out there, they may not know how to use a mojo or a parachute and know the different depths and how to get it and what size you should be using, whether you're using, you're throwing down the 10 ounce, at what speed you're going at that you're hitting the bottom, or you're throwing the 16 ounce. So you got to know the different weights, the different speeds. Are you pulling wire, or are you there's the Nomad I was trying to show you guys. It just dropped out of the mojos. Are you working with braid and you're pulling the mojos on braid? Are you pulling wire the whole time? Are you raking it? There's so many techniques and different things to do out there. So this is the other Nomad. And again, the BKK hook got right in my finger. I almost can hold it just by touching it. And, this thing crushes it. So, Nomad. It's very durable. If you had this in your hand right now, it's heavy. This is 5 ounces. And this gets down as opposed to that flutter spoon that flutters down and slopes out and gets away from the boat and drags something off the bottom. This gets down, and boom, you're coming right back up off the bottom, and it goes, and it vibes. You're going to feel your whole rod shake as it comes back up, and it goes, and it shakes like a fish. And man, can I tell you that these things get hammered. And the squid ones too. So great time of the year to use them. You get out there on a stack of fish and you don't want to float a spoon, you can grab yourself some of the vibes. It's just something I'm showing you and I'm recommending. Something I use and it works, and I'm showing it to you. So now I get no monetary benefit from Nomad Design. I have no reason to show that to you, just like I have no reason to show you All Pro or any of the other floater spoons here, Nichols Lures. So either one. I have no monetary benefit to show you either one. I'm just showing you what we use and telling you that it works. So you can get out there and use your own, try your own colors, try it yourself, and pick up whichever ones you like to use, that's for sure. And that's it, man. The clouds broke. They're splitting. They're splitting my area right now, so I'm back sitting in the sun. Episode 30 on the boat. Very excited. And I can't wait to get out there this weekend again, And we got charters running. And during the week, we have a couple of days open. If anybody wants to get out there, the weekdays are the best. And we're very flexible. So when, when it's going to rain or the wind comes in and, we don't know, you booked it 2 weeks ago and all of a sudden, the day that you had booked is not going to be the greatest. We're very flexible at rescheduling and moving it. And I'm real good at trying to pick the tides that are working, because me and Corey will go out there and get out there at low tide. We will fish until high tide, fish the entire flood, and then we're going to fish the entire ebb back to low tide. And, we're just looking to see what's happening, what techniques were working best, what was the wind direction. So all that goes into the captain's log, and it helps you get on fish each time you go out there. But again, guys, the fish are swimming. They're moving. They're on the move. They're leaving. They're coming and they're going and they're chasing bait. So I tell everybody, you find the bait, you find the fish. And, there's a lot of smaller birds out there. We call them the water chickens. And, they're hitting the top water and they're, snagging the rain bait that's out there. So you see that. You go over, you look at it, and there's no fish under them, and it's just birds working on bait. You're going to get that, and a lot of guys get fooled by that. Sometimes I see 4 or 5 boats, chasing and throwing into it, and there's really not much there. If you don't see them, if you don't see fish under them in the area, if you're not seeing any tail splashing, you want to look around and actually start to find some fish stacked up. And I have some friends that they post videos and stuff on Facebook and Instagram, and they show you the sonar. They'll show you the fish stacked up, and if you see fat fish, these are big fish. And, we'll get into an episode where we'll teach you how to, read that and how to know what kind of fish and what's off to the side and what they look like on the sonar and what you're seeing. Because you might not be seeing bass. You might be seeing weak fish. You might be seeing bluefish. So now with the newer technology, we're actually seeing them a lot better than we were with the 22-year-old sonar from the low rants that we had on the boat. And look, when things aren't broke, you don't fix it. You use it, you could use it. I said in a lot of episodes, I can get out there with zero electronics and catch and find fish, just knowing the area. So we're using my phone, using Navionics on my phone, I can get out there and find fish in almost any area. And I'm that confident. And I'm not even being cocky about it. It's just you start to learn, where the fish are going to be and really look for the bait, look for the swirls. And I always say find the bait, you find the fish. And we love finding the fish this time of the year. It's a ton of fun, and I don't think there's anything more fun than talking to the guys down here in my marina. We have an absolute blast. And, just Kevin, Joe, and Chris that were standing here by my boat right now and talking to Frank, the generations of fishing down here, it's, guys that are fishing 3 decades. And it's great to see younger guys come in like Teddy and his friends, just getting into it and learning. And, they're hardcore. They're going out on windy, snotty days, and that's how you learn. You got to get out there and give it a try. If you're not getting a line wet, you're not catching fish, then you just got to get out there and do it. And guys are posting some big pictures west of us. There's definitely some big fish. The 40-pounders are here. The 40-pounders are here. So if you want to get out and catch some fish, head on over to sandcitycharter.com. And don't forget to sign up for the Bay Rats and Buoys first annual Striped Bass Invitational going down Sunday, June 22nd. As we get closer now, the registrations are really going to start to pour in. And I know that we said the first 25 people that do register are going to get the tournament bucket. That still stands. And I know there are still buckets available, so if you guys want to get over there to stripedbassinvitational.com to sign up, now's the time. We do have a full-page ad in the Fisherman Magazine that came out this month, so we're getting a lot of calls and people calling, asking questions, and from all over the place, guys. We originally started this tournament just to do something local, shotgun start at a Huntington Lighthouse, and I tell you the response is fantastic, and the captains that are calling up and asking questions, we love it. You know, it's awesome, and there's a vibe happening. There's a buzz here. People are telling me they're going to win, and they're trash talking already, and that's just a ton of fun. It really is. And again, now it's that time of the year. I got to make my way around to the tackle shops. I got to drop off some gear. I got to get some stuff done, but you can see I'm pretty stocked up for the as far as the equipment that we have. I don't really need much. It's a matter of just getting the gear in order. Sometimes respooling stuff, you know, and staying on top of things. You know, rinsing stuff down when you get back is very important. We rinse all our rods. We rinse the reels. We rinse everything down. Salt water is abusive to everything. We rinse the boat. We do it all. I even rinse my grundins down. I mean, you know how salty that gets. You get a little spray on you and forget about it. You get back and you're covered in white salt sometimes, and that's part of fishing. And you got blood on the boat. You got all kinds of stuff. So we love it. We love this time of the year. You want to come out fishing, head on to sandcitycharter.com. Be happy to get you out. That is sandcitycharter.com. Or you can just Google us. You know, just Google. You can Google Captain Gage. You can Google Sand City Charter. And you can Google Bay Rats and Buoys. We do have a social media presence. And thanks to ISM and our website. So that is definitely helping us be noticed and get phone calls from people and book us, you know, so we're grateful for it. We love it and hope you guys come out here and join us, and we're looking forward to a lot of the charters that we have coming up. And all our loyal listeners like Gene and Manny and the rest of the guys, Frank, we love you. Thanks for tuning in, and hit me up with some messages, guys. Got to get in on the intel, and we'll help share some of that and get you out there on some fish, you know what I mean? So switch up the colors. Look forward to hear how you guys are doing out there, what's working best for you. Let us know. Hit us up in the comments. And wishing everybody bent rods, tight lines, and looking forward to seeing you out on the water. Bay Rats and Buoys episode 30 on the boat is in the books. Captain Gage signing out. See you guys next time. Bay Rats and Buoys presents Long Island's hottest new striped bass tournament. Our first annual Striped Bass Invitational, going down in the Long Island Sound, Sunday, June 22nd, 2025. Shotgun start at 7:30 a.m., just north of the Huntington Lighthouse. 4 categories with first, second, and third place. Grand prize for the longest striped bass division, thanks to J&M Seafood. The first 25 boats to register will receive our tournament bucket loaded with sponsors' products. Compete for conservation in our tagging division, catch and release format. Sponsorship opportunities are available. Sponsor the passion. Fuel the competition. Signing up is easy. Visit stripedbassinvitational.com. That's stripedbassinvitational.com, or just scan the QR code.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. Be sure to visit sandcitycharter.com and follow Captain Gage on all our social media channels.